Pick your color.
Hey NailTubers, you know how much I've taken to these XXXL tapered nail tips. And as I mentioned in the last video, I really do like that they're pre-shaped and all I had to do was cut the length. I wouldn't have even done that because I just love how much they taper. But it is hard to record all of it in frame sometimes. And also, as before, I'm going right in with Nude, which this is first Nude by NotPolish. I don't even have to explain. We all know the quality of NotPolish acrylic powders. So as you enjoy this acrylic application, one thing I would say about this set is, and this is completely on my part, in hindsight, I wish I had have did a clear nail or two in this set. And you'll see why later when I point it out. Now, I want to thank you and express my appreciation to all of you who've been making it to my lives. And if you couldn't make the most recent one, I talked about nail school, especially for anyone if you want to be a nail tech. I wanted to share some things you usually don't hear, while also giving you more of an inside perspective of some goals that are expected from you as a student, as well as things to consider when choosing a school. So you might be very interested in hearing it, and I'll definitely have a link to it at the end. Many of you know that I do go back and view the live videos because I check for what to edit out, especially like in the beginning when I'm fumbling with the setup, because I'm still learning that part. And I really appreciate your patience with me. I had to laugh at my little head and gray hair at the edge of the frame before I edited it out. But I do have something to add to what I talked about, because I was thinking maybe I seem like I've been sharing the darker side of this profession. You know, like with my nail school stories, and maybe even that nail school doesn't teach what you expect. Trust me, it's not easy for us to throw that out there without being apprehensive and vulnerable to reactions either. Besides, I know I'm not the only nail tech who has shared this. So let's talk reality. Would you really want it to be sugar-coated? No, right? Because sometimes we need that tea spillage. Now, there was much good too, like I really enjoyed working side by side with my instructor, and I'll share more things like that too. I expect to be able to give you both the good and bad, because it's only going to prepare you. So my advice is, and this is what I wanted to share today. If this is what you really want, go to school, get licensed, because that is your goal. I've always been told that I view things from a different perspective, and it took me a while to see this in myself, and I'm glad that I do. So maybe this resonates and brings out a whole new way to see this. And remember, I said profession, because that's exactly what it is. And you should always treat it that way, as well as expect to be treated as such. Oh, and also before I forget, if you left me a comment and I hadn't responded to it, or at least it seems that way, I noticed a possible glitch in the system. And this has happened to me before, and probably many others. There's a lot of comments that I know I've replied to, but they keep reappearing as if I hadn't. So I'll be setting some time aside to go back and redo my responses. Now, as you saw from the thumbnail, this is going to be a very expensive $150 money set, honey. I've been wanting to do a money set for as long as I've been doing nails, and never have, believe it or not. Come to think of it, I hadn't had a customer at the nail shops ask for any either. In that time, the big thing was, you know, those swoop lines on the nails. Well, the idea of money nails surfaces from time to time, right? So I figured, let me make sure to do some. And I'm glad I did because I like the way they turned out. In fact, they are really easy to do and come out looking so marvelous. You see, my client got that big rock on her finger. She better leave me a good tip too. And here we are at the thumb. How do they say it? If you know, you know. Okay, for the money. It looks so real, but it's actually prop money. And I got a stack from Amazon. And I literally mean a stack. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. I used Zulay's Bling adhesive to lay this big money. So I have a question. All the money nails I've seen so far were with $1. Is there a reason for that? I became curious when I got this stack and it had all these different bills, so it had me wondering, why haven't I seen any nails using the larger bills? I cut the ends away to bring the paper flush to the edge, and right here I was lining the serial number up to match, and also wanted to capture the signature. I tried doing some burnt money. This is one of them, but only did a few because the paper was burning too fast and I was losing some of the image I wanted to use. Like this one was the round seal but got burned away, but I still thought it looked interesting. Oh, and in case you didn't catch it, I tried a different way with the glue by applying it to the back of the money first, but you know what? It worked great either way I used it. Now, I didn't have any rhyme or reason to this and just put together what I thought looked best, but I definitely wanted to use that United States. It was too large for the pinky, and I felt it would look best on the index nail. Then for the pinky, I liked that the star had those thin red stripes behind it and matched the flow of it with another piece. Funny thing was, while I was doing this, my gloves kept sticking, and I thought it would be obvious in the video, but you really can't tell. I used my hand file, and it looks like I'm really going in, but just like before, it looks that way because it's sped up. The key thing is to go straight down in only one direction so you don't cause the money paper to lift. And I only showed this on the one nail because it's all the same. Then everyone uses that gold leafing with money, right? So I wanted to do the same. It just seems so appropriate together. I apply base coat wherever I think I want to put the foil and cure the base coat for 30 seconds. Once the base coat is cured, it leaves that tackiness. Then I randomly lay the foil on top. And this foil is extremely delicate, so it doesn't take much effort. For capping, I use thicker, wetter beads so it covers all the nail art while seeping into any openings. So what I was talking about before that I would do differently, as I laid the clear, the color of the money became darker. You know, like money looks when it gets wet. And I think had I done a couple of clear nails, it wouldn't have that dark look. But I still think they look really beautiful. I think the darker money color makes them look especially rich, and it's really a nice contrast to the nude. And I love that United States strip on the index finger. Yes, girl. You see I'm hooked. You better get you one. But I will say this. I would still do it all with my hand file from time to time, because that way I maintain my skill. Because you never know, you might run out of the pads or your e-file might lose its charge, so still make it a point to keep your filing and shaping skill up. My least favorite has always been filing and shaping, mostly because of the dust buildup, but this on-point disc makes it so easy to do. Oh, and this time I used that sanding band for the cuticle area because I had some foils at the top of those nails, so it was just for precaution not to overfile. Once I dusted and the nails were cleaned off, I used matte top coat. I felt it helped keep that rich and realistic look of paper money. And the matte top coat was cured for 60 seconds. A $sign at the top of the pinky really looks good. Oh, and I've been forgetting to let you know that Bling adhesive is air dry. I actually forgot this, and I kept playing around with the gems on the ring finger. Then I tried to move that last little one at the bottom, but it was there, girl. It was there for good. Another gold $sign on the middle finger, cause we got it like that. And a random cluster at the top of the index finger falling down towards the gold foil. And these nails are rich and luxurious. Even though I didn't do any clear nails, I still love how they look. And if you want to see my live about nail school, you'll find helpful advice by clicking here. If this is your first time, subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Much love.